Why would you want to respond to something from California?
Because a good portion of my traffic's coming from California.
All right.
That's just a thought.
Do you often worry about getting more traffic to your website? I mean, who doesn't? If you get more traffic, that must mean you get more leads, right? What you're watching right now is a coaching session between one of my clients and myself, and I've been working with him on social media strategy and SEO strategy. And in this particular clip, we're talking about getting traffic from Twitter. So my client, Bob, who has agreed to let me record him, he's a wedding DJ here in North Carolina. He came to me for some assistance in guiding him through social media, Google, the internet, things like that. And so I'm going to walk you through a little bit with the problem that Bob was having, particularly on website traffic and Twitter, and how we help just tweak the understanding a little bit of basically what each platform is really meant for. And throughout this video, you're going to see me jump back and forth between the coaching session and some of my dialogue and commentary. What's up, everyone? If you don't know who I am Brad Poirier, run a web design and video marketing company called Bear City Impact in New Bern, North Carolina. And so now I'm sharing all of my best tips and all of my best practices that I've learned over the years in how to market a business. So if you're new here, consider subscribing because I will get on a regular schedule again with posting weekly tutorial videos. Okay, so let's jump into the video and let's see what's going on here.
Google Analytics.
Yep.
Right? And regions, states that my traffic's coming from. And which California was number 2.
Okay.
North Carolina obviously won. California. Now if I followed up, I'm calling this Twitter follow-up, and joining hashtag convos. Mm-hmm. Would it make any sense to, look at target some of these areas that I see coming from my Google Analytics, like California?
Yeah.
Is that too far afield?
Well,
so what Bob is talking about here with Google Analytics is that he started noticing some of his traffic was coming from California. So majority of his traffic comes from North Carolina, where he's based out of. He's a local service provider, but some traffic was coming from California. And we were already on the subject of Twitter. So what his thought process was, perhaps I can seek out people on Twitter that are from California, get into conversations with them, and then perhaps they'll come visit my website. What we were discussing previously was one strategy for Twitter, which was to look up relevant industry hashtags and just jump in conversations. For instance, he could look up hashtag wedding planning, and from there he could get in on conversations about wedding planning as it relates to the wedding industry, not necessarily specifically about DJing a wedding. So that was really the strategy. And then we started discussing perhaps what he was asking for was perhaps he can seek out individuals specifically that are in California to get in those conversations because he's already getting traffic from California. Make sense?
Well, no, it's not. But unfortunately, you can't really do that with Twitter. You might be able to if you could search by a hashtag.
Because I'm going to search hashtags, right? And if, I don't know if I want to respond to every single one of them, but if something was related to, California,
why would you want to respond to something from California?
Because.
Okay, and I also have to make a preface here. I wasn't exactly being that harsh with him. I was just being very direct with him. In this particular client, we have a pretty good relationship, and so he knows that me being direct isn't being, mean or brash or harsh. In fact, he's very much asked me to be as open and honest with him as possible.
A good portion of my traffic's coming from California.
All right.
That's just a thought.
If respond to something here because it's the latest post from that hashtag, even though it's in another state.
Okay.
But you're worried about traffic
Yeah.
on your site.
Mm-hmm.
So just real quick again, basically what I was saying here is if you're looking up hashtags such as hashtag wedding planning and you happen to come across an account that is from California and you're in that conversation, that's fine. But don't go out seeking traffic or don't go out seeking accounts from California just to get traffic. And so you'll see what I mean in just a moment. And we got to the root of really what the real problem was here.
You're worried about traffic.
Yeah.
On your site. I can see where that thought is coming from. Well, maybe people from California are already visiting my site. Perhaps if I engage with them more, they'll visit my site more often.
Well,
that's not going to equal $1.
Okay.
It'll never equal $1. More California people reading your blogs on wedding DJ stuff is never going to make you $1. I'm not saying not to interact with them. I'm just saying don't express additional energy purposely looking for that just because you see a state from your analytics that goes to your website, which may end up being where most of the bots are located, and that's where their IP's coming from. It could, maybe it's not.
They may not be people, right?
Basically, the point here was we don't want to spend 90% of our energy on Twitter to get traffic from California, let's say, because that's where he's already getting traffic, when it will probably yield him at best maybe 10% of a return on investment, if that. Again, the strategy for Twitter here was to build up an authoritative voice by engaging in existing conversations on Twitter to establish credibility in the wedding industry. Then others would share your article, which would then yield you more traffic naturally and organically through Twitter. So what's the solution here? What's the solution to website traffic, Twitter, or social media, or anything like that? Well, here's a really important truth to know. Hold on a second, need a sip. That's some good water. It is actually just water in here. I don't know if you can perhaps see it. Oh, there you go. You can see it's just water. But I like the mug. The important thing to realize here is that social media networks today only care about advertisements on their network and keeping people on that network so they can serve more advertisements. They don't care about sending traffic to any one of your sites. Doesn't matter if it gets 1 million visitors a month, they still don't care about sending that traffic there. The agenda of Twitter, the agenda of Facebook, the agenda of Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of these places is to keep people on that network as long as possible, because the longer you stay in that news feed of any network, the more chances they have of serving an ad that they'll be able to collect revenue on. And what you really have to realize is that social media networks, they owe you nothing. You don't pay them. So if you, or if you're not paying them any advertising money, they owe you nothing. Facebook and Instagram, if they cut all of the organic traffic out for business pages tomorrow and they said the only way you'll ever see another visitor is by paying us, they don't owe you anything. You've done nothing for them. And if you don't believe me, why do you think organic reach is down on so many platforms? It's down on Facebook, it's down on Instagram, and it's because more people are advertising on Instagram. So here's what I would do. To get more traffic to your website, focus on Google and focus on the content on your website. People will naturally share things, get engaged in social media conversations, especially when we're talking about Twitter. People will naturally end up sharing things. You don't have to beg people to share things. That doesn't mean social media won't drive traffic to your website. All that I'm saying is use social media for what social media is for. It's a social network. Get social with people. What will be your traffic driver on social media is by providing helpful educational content, entertaining content, for instance. Perhaps you find this video here educational or informational or entertaining. If you do, I hope you do, and then I hope you'd hit the like button and make a comment. But ultimately, I'm doing this to educate. If someone should happen to see my profile somewhere and say, I want to explore more of what he does, or I want to perhaps hire him for coaching, then that's fine too, but I'm not going to ask you to do that. You might already see me as someone that you could benefit from working with, and it's natural for you to pick up the phone, send a text, send an email, however you're going to get in touch, to do that. I don't have to ask you to do that. So the real short of it here is use social media for what it's for. It's a social network. Nothing more, nothing less. They owe you nothing in return. And if you want to guarantee more traffic results from your website, start a campaign and make that campaign objective website traffic and pay someone to do it. That's basically it. If you have any questions about social media traffic or website traffic in general, just drop a comment. I'd love to be able to continue the conversation or answer it for you, but I'll be most active on Instagram at BradPaulP. I post stories each day and little mini-sodes of these type of tutorials as well. So again, thank you so much for watching, and check out one of these other videos if you think those will be helpful. I'll see you later.